What's your favorite non-alcoholic drink? Low key, despite the brain freezes, I'll smash a green smoothie any day of the week. Any day. I asked the question because Americans are drinking less than they used to. A Gallup poll found that the average number of drinks people consume weekly has declined over the last several years, from 4.8 drinks a week in 2009 to 3.6 drinks in 2021. No doubt this is partly due to more people becoming sober curious, a term coined to describe people who are interested in stepping away from alcohol. But to be clear here, this movement isn't just geared towards people struggling with alcoholism. It's for anybody who wants an alternative. As we see fewer people drinking, we're also seeing more restaurants serving mocktails and more companies producing non-alcoholic drinks. This is kind of similar to the Beyond Meat and meat substitute trend. Experts say one reason for this shift could be because people are becoming more health conscious and considering the ethical and environmental impacts of what they put in their bodies. Last year, non-alcoholic drink sales spiked 113%. Brands like Curious Elixirs, Seedlip, and Kin Euphorics have come to the forefront as popular non-alcoholic drink brands. Some larger companies that own alcoholic drinks like Smirnoff and Guinness have started to purchase these companies. These options aren't always the cheapest, but non-alcoholic drink companies say they're crafting high-quality cocktails that don't just taste like a juice box. The non-alcoholic spirits resemble the taste of alcohol. While the goal here is to avoid feeling drunk and the effects that come with it, like being hungover, some of these drinks still have mood-altering substances that make you feel more relaxed, like CBD, for example. Beyond just the drinks, we're also seeing retail places like dry stores and alcohol-free bars that are getting behind this trend. Alcohol-free bars aren't entirely new. They first popped up in the 19th century during the temperance movement. That's when people thought getting rid of alcohol would fix society's problems and make people safer and healthier. Today, we're seeing the trend reemerge, starting in bigger cities like New York and Chicago. But what demographic is leading this lifestyle shift? It's actually younger people. JAMA Pediatrics says the number of college students who don't drink jumped from 20% in 2002 to 28% in 2018. Many people can remember binge drinking during their college days, and more than a few nights they probably don't remember. Yeah. But this blackout culture might be even more dangerous than people realize. In the short term, blacking out from drinking can really mess with your brain. When you black out, the neurotransmitters in your brain stop working. The reason why you can't remember anything later is because your brain loses the ability to store memories. In the long term, heavy drinking can have serious impacts ranging from causing cancer and heart disease to decreased cognitive function and mental health issues. As more college kids opt for a sober lifestyle, some universities are finding opportunities to create support groups. Newsy national correspondent Amber Strong explores the unconventional ways campuses are encouraging recovery.
There's nothing like that first piping hot cup of coffee, especially when it's free.
We start off with a pre-weighed amount of coffee beans. These are whole beans.
This contraption on the campus of University of Mary Washington isn't exactly a K-cup.
You need to take a moment to let the coffee beans bloom before you can put the rest of the coffee on.
University Director Ray Tuttle says there's a reason for the process.
All in all, it probably takes 4 or 5 minutes to make a cup of coffee. And during that time, we're able to engage the person in the conversation about what it is to be in recovery.
This is one of several recovery bikes on campuses across Virginia. It doubles as both a work of art and a conversation starter, because who can say no to a free cup of joe?
This cart is part of Eagles in Recovery, a peer-led program meant to foster sobriety among students through one-on-one counseling and peer support. There are hundreds of collegiate recovery programs across the country.
Thanks. I needed that.
Far removed from the days of Animal House, or even old school, there seems to be a growing acceptance on campuses for those who don't drink for whatever the reason. Social media filled with videos of support and even tips for fellow students.
Tip 2, don't hide the fact that you're sober. Honestly, just own it. So many people knew me as the sober girl and reached out to me because they'd want to go to parties sober.
Schools like George Washington University hosting GW Late Nights, a series of inclusive alcohol-free events. A study sponsored by the National Institute of Health showed a decrease in past year, past month, and daily alcohol consumption. However, there's been a rise in binge drinking, marijuana use, and hallucinogen use. And provisional data from the CDC shows an uptick in overdose deaths from drugs like fentanyl.
We need to celebrate and normalize the trending downward, but we have to pay attention to the death piece.
Christina Canfield is executive director of the Association of Recovery in Higher Education, an organization helping campuses set up recovery programs like the one at UMW. She's passionate about the issue because she lived it as a college student in recovery.
I was taught as a young person in recovery to not talk about it. You don't tell people you're in recovery. It was real fun trying to answer questions of like, what happened to you? Like, where'd you go?
While stigma may be decreasing among young people, Canfield says there's a lot of hesitation from school administrators, concerned about how the school will be perceived.
I still get a little blindsided, I think, when I hear an administrator say something like, why would we want those students here?
The reality, 2% of college students identify as being in recovery, according to a 2022 survey from the American College Health Association. Yale psychiatrist Amanda Calhoun says there are reasons for that, including external factors like the pressures of academics and biological causes.
Your brain is not fully developed yet. Your frontal lobe is still developing. So your ability to sort of think through decisions and, not act impulsively is still developing.
Both say colleges can be a first line of defense in shaking off the stigma for students already in recovery and those needing support. Tuttle agrees, saying no matter where or how the addiction began, the road to recovery can start here without shame.
Just like a good cup of coffee takes time. Like, it's not just pressing a button. It's not just like, here's your cup of coffee. It takes a little while before it happens. And that's what recovery is too.
Amber Strong, Newsy in Fredericksburg, Virginia.